Man, the iPhone is just horrible. Makes you wish that you had a camera where you could just focus it, because the fucking computer has no fucking clue. The phone has no idea of what's clear. What are you looking at? I don't know what you're looking at. What do you want to be clear? Oh well. iPhone be trying, I guess. But what's it trying? Is it trying to fuck with me? Probably. So much warmer today. I'm all bundled up. The wind's hardly even blowing. So yesterday when I was talking about the tide, we're gonna go with the tip of my finger. Stop! I'd say it was down there. Way far. Way far. When you walk down there, you felt kind of scared. Like, is this a tsunami? What's going on? It's pretty far out today, too. I don't know. I see these things, and I guess maybe it's Canada that's doing it, but I think that they're setting up the censorship stuff for all the places, because we're going to war. This is a big one. And people might say, oh, it's just a coincidence. People are waking up now and this and that. It's not a reset. It's almost like the things that they have to do, they have to implement to make a reset successful is over the top. So they have to really crazify your life. You can't know what the fuck's going on, because I mean, some of this stuff is pretty intense, like taking away thousands and thousands of children, killing or eliminating a whole group of people, a whole generation. The things are stacking up on top of each other. It's like you see them talking about it, and I'm sure they probably know too, but they're not telling you like you should know. They're telling people that do know. It's almost like a reassurance. Like, well, what about the wars and the conflicts that they had all leading up to this? And yeah, they had wars and conflicts leading up to all of this. So, I guess, I've never really cared until it was time to care. I don't even think it's time to care right now, but maybe it is. But I guess there's no large group of young males having families and kids and stuff. So why do we have to be right by the rocks? So like their whole fighting force is all 40 years old. Well, I'm 47, so that's still a good age. You go. Oh, now the phone's actually working. It's a lot lighter than it is in real life. Weird. Yeah. I don't really talk about it a whole much because it kind of sounds crazy, but everything, the way that you feel is depending on your environment. The things that you put into you, the things that leach into you, you know, just from being here. It's not a bunch of wild animals chasing you around, trying to get inside you and mess you up and kill you. I know it might seem like that's a plausible thing because they tell us that, oh, we're doing that to the earth. So you think, oh, I'm a virus. I'm a people. And people are a virus, and the earth is dying because of us, because we're a virus. And that's the way viruses work, is they just want to live, and they just kind of do everything they want to do like we do. Well, in cartoons, animals talk and think about all the same things that you think about, and talk about the same things that you talk about, and do all the stuff. I mean, they live in houses and they drive cars and everything, go to jobs. It's like for little kids, but I mean, people accept all this. Hunter smells something. Yeah. something just popped into my head because, I'm thinking along the lines of we're all doing this totally wrong. And it made me think of God. And I don't believe in Jesus Christ. And I don't want a savior. It's almost like if they're in control of everything, he's saving you from himself. Dealing with my own issues in my own life, I can look back and I can see that I mistreated some of the dogs that I had in my life. Not like horribly, like physically, but kind of almost mentally. Like, and it was probably my own problems. Like, I wasn't seeking out to do this to the dog, but you're mean to it, and then you're nice to it, and then you're mean to it, and you're nice to it, and the dog is just, it never knows. It never knows what's going to go on, and I do apologize if that dog's soul can hear me or whatever. I'm sure I'll make amends for that. But, I don't know. I wasn't like, I never wanted to harm it. I'm not like a violent person. It was mostly like control. I think it's from the system. Because I'm really a pleaser, And so if what you are is controlled all the time and you don't even realize it, but you're a people pleaser, so I want to succeed in the things that are all around me. I want to make you happy. Like, look how good a slave I am. And so I'm going to do all these things that are done to me and done around me. I'm going to do them to the best of my ability, whether I understand them or not. And so if I'm doing that to dogs and people around me, then I'm not talking physical. I'm not harming things physically, even though your mind is a physical thing, even though you can interact with it in a non-physical way. Anyways, let's not go down that road. Once you realize that you're doing it, though, that's when the choices become effective of what you're going to get. I mean, there is consequences for ignorant choices made in ignorance. You still pay for those. I do feel you could probably pay just as high a price, but in the grand scheme of things, knowing that you're doing something wrong is typically worse than not knowing. But there is a gray area where you should know, and so your ignorance is kind of like the choice that you're making that's harmful to people, is that you're choosing to be ignorant. So many people are choosing to be ignorant about everything that's going on. Yeah. This is an hour later than what we went the other day, and I gotta say, this is good timing. I think I'm gonna shoot for this time. Following me. We don't talk a lot, but I know you're there. when I was growing up, I absolutely hated blowing my nose. It feels so fucking nasty. It goes all over your fucking skin. It's disgusting. If my parents would have just taught me that farmer thing, I would have been doing that from the very beginning. But I just started doing that. I don't know. Well, I'm old now. So, it was a long time ago, but it was late in the game. Later in the game than it needed to be. Anyways, that's the thing. Next thing I guess I'll mention. You can go online, or you could go to hospitals or whatever in search of these people, and I don't think they're really all that hard to find. And what they'll do is they'll tell you about breathing and how pretty much the world doesn't breathe right. The majority. So many people are breathing through their mouths. And you might say, oh, well, it's just common sense, Max. Your mouth is so much bigger than your nose. So when they breathe through their mouth, they just want to get more oxygen. So it's actually better. But no, it's not. It's not. Because you're a filter, remember? And if you use this big handy dandy filter for whatever, people talk about, I'm going to go backwards a little bit here, but people talk about we're put here by aliens to get something that changes, that they lost on their planet, whatever. But anyways, what if we're just here to filter this place? We're like a microorganism that people think are like destroying things, but we're not. Well, maybe we are, but we're here to process this stuff, and then the end result, like what we make, is the thing that they want. That'd be weird, wouldn't it? That thought made me forget my other thought. Breathing through your nose. So if you're a filter and you take out the pre-filter, it's not going to work as good. Some of the some of the stuff that the pre-filter is designed to get isn't gone, and that changes the way everything else works. It also changes the airflow design so that things might not even go through the designated place that they were supposed to go through. You breathe through your nose, and it's got all these winding passages designed to run it through the gambit so that it gets polished up, you know? It's cleaned up. And also, it changes the speed and the velocity of it depending on the size of the cavity. And that's optimal for your organs and things that interact with it. We're talking oxygen. Oxygen isn't the thing that you use. Oxygen is like the carrier. You use the various things that create what we breathe. Who knows if you have to? I think breathing is probably more important than eating. We do it a lot more. Yeah, well, anyways, it's also a filter, a pre-filter type thing, and the really small stuff. Why you keep sitting down? Hey, you okay? When I went to bed last night, I was laying there, and I felt like I was taller, larger, like the world had shrank. It was so weird. I was laying on top of the covers because I'm a really hot person. I don't start off underneath the covers because it's uncomfortable. But in the middle of the night, I'll usually put them on. But anyways, I felt like I was hanging over the bed and touching the walls. It was weird. I don't know why I'm sharing. Oh. It's chilly walking back. But I got a lot of stuff to keep me warm. Yawn. So they say breathing, if everybody was to breathe through their nose, like all the time, there's times when you can breathe through your mouth, but like the majority of your time is spent breathing through your nose, we would eradicate sickness. Could you believe that? Can you believe that? So all you need to do to get well, you don't need to even take an herb. Oh, you can take an herb, whatever you want to do, but you don't need to. And so if you don't even take an herb, you just take this thought and you breathe the air with this thought that you're breathing correctly and things are gonna work out because that's the way you're designed. then you could do it. Because that's the way you're designed. It's just like turning on the machine. You have this really cool blender, and you put stuff in it, and you use it as like a pitcher. You stir it around with a little spoon or something, but you never turn it on and blend anything with it. And then one day you think, what are these buttons for? You push the buttons, and then you start experimenting with the buttons. And you plug the thing in, and you hit the buttons, and you're blending stuff, and you're like, what the fuck? This thing was a really nice picture. Everybody admired this picture, and now I find out that it's not a picture at all. It's something totally else. Something totally different. It's a blender. It sounds stupid, doesn't it? Because you grew up with a blender and you saw so many pictures of it. I'm just using that as an example. You gotta do some work. You're gonna have to do some work here. These are just like ideas. You're supposed to think about this stuff. It's free. Everything that I say is free. All you have to do is spend time. I know that's the most important thing, and that's all anybody ever wants. And I don't get your time. I don't get anything for your time. So this is you investing your time in you. Live your life. I think you should leave a comment. I think you should say something. I'm not asking for any help. Let's just communicate. Complain about something. That's something that I do a lot, is complain about something. I figure if I complain about something, that gives other people the opportunity to think alongside me. If I complain about something and say, oh, it has to be this way, it just seems like selfish. It's probably what I'm complaining about anyways. Somebody being selfish. It's just the coolest thing. I love blowing my nose like that. It gets like this. I'm not saying swallow it, but you sniffle a little bit. It's kind of like when it first starts happening, you'll have like this little small amount of mucus in your nose, and then that is what it is. And you breathe through your nose, and most of this stuff is pretty light anyways, but it's going in and out, and so it moves a little bit forward, it moves a little bit back, but it's getting more and more. But it's like making a ball. Instead of it just being everywhere, it's kind of like kneading it. And then when you finally do the one nostril covered and then a blow, it comes out like a cannonball or a shotgun slug or something. It feels good. It's not really all connected to your nose, so it's not real messy. It looks like you're spitting, kind of. I mean, it's. I'm sure there's a spray, but this is spray when you're breathing. So I don't know. through your mouth. I think that's another thing. When you breathe through your nose, I think you cut down on the spraying. Wow. That was kind of freaky. I heard like a clicking sound, like rocks falling. And then I look over and I saw that flock of birds. Could you see it on the thing? It surprised me because it was something very substantial moving fast right next to me. It was like, whoa, okay. I don't know, people come and people go. I don't know. I think things are changing. I think people are ready to hear ready to hear the things, the ideas that we have as people. It's kind of a touchy subject because, you know, if it worked, if it was fair, and I don't know exactly what made it not fair, I guess it would be the checks and balances. Maybe there wasn't enough checks and balances. But, to do it as a group and delegate certain things for certain people to do, I think probably what the problem is the money. I think that's probably what the problem is. I don't know. See, like if 5 people got together, then they could do the things that 5 people could do. But what they should do is do the things for the 5 people equally, because they're all doing the things. But they could do the things easier because there's more of them. So you still plow 5 people's worth of food out of the soil. You still build 5 houses, 5 people's worth of houses. All of that stuff. Recreation, all of it. For 5 people, and you share the work, and everybody has it equally. You can have your own things, but if the other people want those things too from you, then you have to help them get those things. It's kind of a slippery slope. It could go downhill really fast, or you could just have the things that you want for yourself and be around those 5 people for emergencies, I guess. I don't know. And they come to you and you give them something, and they survive to be able to be around to possibly give you something. I don't know. If you have something and somebody around you doesn't have something, you could give it to them and then help them with the information that they need to be able to have that in the future, and maybe even be there for somebody else, and then you won't be there you won't have to be there for whoever it is that comes along next. It's kind of like just natural. I don't know. How do we all agree? If we all lived together, would it be like a, we're gonna vote again? It's got electrolytes. It's what plants crave, you know? The whole world is like, what do we do? We're starving. That's never gonna happen. I think by going into a group and having kids and making the group bigger, you're creating yourself to be cattle. You're choosing that role. Isn't that weird? These people need people to choose that role. And I think they've just encouraged too many people to choose that role. And not enough people have been choosing the do-it-yourself role. The farmer role. Be a farmer. Don't be a cow. Cows get eaten. He's way down at the bottom of the hill. Come on, Goofy. Hey. Come on. I've been seeing a lot of things about old Chevy Chase things. I think he's probably not doing good. So he needs money. Sells the rights to jokes and things. And people make a stupid video about it and come here. sell it for ad space. Go